Okay, I'm starting it up. So now the only thing is I have to do is try to figure out entirely how to bring on, because I need to send Broly a link. I just forgot how. I don't know how entirely to do that, so I'm just trying to figure it out right now. Sorry, I'm repeating myself from it. Anyways, cause I don't know entirely how it works, but let me see. I know there's some. Oh, invite people. Here it is. I'll fail. Anyways, let me bring him on. I'm DMing you it right now, Burley, as we speak. Okay, sent. So I sent it to him. I wonder he'll pop in at any minute now. But in the meantime, I'll take this time to say, I know no one's really watching right now, but I just want to say, for those who are probably watching, or those who will watch it after the stream's over, because I do plan on keeping this up after this is over. So I am starting a series to bring on a bunch of people that I stand with Vic for live streams, for to like basically interview them, talk about the stuff going on, and everything, and all that jazz. Basically general background and stuff. So I want to get that series. I started the series and I messaged Broly Power Maximum and he's asking him if he'd be willing to come on, and he said yeah. So we planned this, and yeah, so that's all history from there. So I sent him a link, and I'm just waiting for him to come on. Let's see from there. But other than that, it's like, I just hate the terrible timing that this stream had to happen. Because originally, I was gonna have this at 9:30, right? But then Yellow Flash tweeted out or started saying he'd be streaming at like 9 o'clock. So I was like, okay, that will give me a bit of time. So let's push it. Oh, welcome, Broly Power Maximum.
Hey, what's up, Vic?
What's up? Glad to have you on board for the live stream. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, the honor's all mine. So just to give my general idea, so those who don't know, well, because I'll plan on keeping the stream up after we're done streaming it and everything. Because if you hadn't seen before I popped in, I basically had this general idea of probably starting a live stream series where I just bring other people on who are basically I stand with Vic to give their general input on stuff and basically go through a bit of their background and also to explain why they choose to stand with Vic, basically and all that jazz. But I also want to give you your intro. So this is Broly Power Maximum. I also like to say he's the guy who will destroy you with the facts. So funny thing is, I actually like to think you're like a smaller version of this YouTuber named No Bullshitter. No Bullshit. Have you ever heard of him?
I haven't, but I'll take it.
So yeah,
Sounds cool.
yeah. It's basically no Bullshit is basically this guy who likes to talk about all this SJW stuff on his YouTube stuff, like everything that's in the entertainment industry, like basically like the ones in movies and stuff, like all this SJW propaganda. But he also tries to bring on like why it's bad in some ways, as I could best properly explain it. Because I'm not the best at explaining things, but if you ever have a chance to go check him out, please check him out, and you'll probably see what I'm talking about. So
Yeah, for sure, will do.
okay, so feel free to give a brief explanation of yourself, BPM.
I'd like to say I'm kind of the average Joe coming into the I Stand with Vic scene.
Yeah.
I just learned of things going on around the end of January. I saw a Yellow Flash video. He couldn't pronounce Vic's name.
Yeah. I don't think no one could at first.
Yeah, people could say Vic. So if you check out some of the older videos, everybody just says Vic, or else they completely fumble his last name. But yeah, I came in pretty early, not I'd say about 2 weeks after the social media thing began, because it started on the 16th. I came in on the 26th, so almost 2 weeks. And I started looking at some of these posts by the only voice actors I knew at the time, which would be um, Chris Sabat. He was out there talking, and I didn't have a Twitter account. I didn't have a YouTube, and at that point in time, I decided to at least activate my Twitter. I had like 3 followers and start posting and be like, dude, that's messed up. Like, I can't believe you guys be throwing Vic under the bus like that. You know, this is freaking Twitter. Get your shit together. You know. And from there, I've just been looking for truth, and I've had two eyes wide open, and I haven't seen anything that's come out to condemn Vic.
Yeah, and like same here. So funny thing is, of course, before this whole thing started, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah, no, nobody really did.
Yeah.
It's like a lot. Here's the thing about voice actors, because right now this is relevant to the case where everybody's like,
Yeah.
we're public figures. He's a public figure, because they're trying to make it so that they can say whatever about him. But they're off screen. They're not like normal actors. Anime is already a niche community. And even though it's growing, they're still off screen voice acting for a character. You know, so people like me, we've seen Vic for probably 2 decades now. Like I've seen Case Closed, Full Metal Alchemist, the original, Brotherhood. I've seen Shippuden. I saw the Broly movies. You know, I saw all these things that he was in and never had any idea who he was.
Yeah. You know what I was kind of shocked about too? I was kind of shocked to learn that he was the one who actually sang the Dragon Ball Z Kai theme, Dragon Soul. I was like, what, are you serious? This is him singing? I was like, oh my god, I love this song. This is the better version than the one Shang Schimmel sang.
Oh yeah, way better, way more talented, much more fitting. He also sang the One Piece the first opener for One Piece and the third, which in my opinion are some of, if not the best. I mean, he's just been an invaluable talent for Funimation.
Yeah. And it's all kind of shocking how all of this can just change was in like just a few months. Because it's like, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, wait, voice actor Broly getting accused of stuff? I was like, oh my god, say it ain't so. So when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, man, this is kind of shocking to hear about it coming with a voice actor. So I was at first, I was like, damn, it kind of sucks for him, but I don't know how if it's true or not. So of course, I just stayed neutral briefly, but then after hearing all the bullshit first from like, Yellow Flash, Hero Hey, and surprisingly, Perfection at first, but then I was like, yeah, I actually watched Perfection at first to actually know about this.
We don't say that name anymore.
Yeah, we don't say it. Yeah, who shall not be named.
Yeah, no, it's definitely crazy, and I would say it happened over a couple of weeks, right? Because you had the social media outcry on the 16th, and then I believe that people like Monica started liking and retweeting things very early on, and that just caused it to blow up. And the reason why I think this lawsuit can work is because there's legitimate reason to believe that, Monica and Jamie and Ron, they're the ones who cause the real damage, because they're the ones that validate everything. If it's just something that continually has been happening on some corner of the internet, on some forum that nobody cares about, who cares? But now you have people that have known him for 20 years saying this stuff about him, and that's why it's stuck this time.
Oh, by the way, did you actually get a chance to see Nick's stream last night about the whole TCPA motion that was filed?
Yes, I saw him talk about what he would strike from Ron and Monica's, as well as Funimation's, and what BHBH is trying to strike as well.
Yeah, because to be honest, from what I heard, from what I just saw and heard last night, I'm just like, yeah, this is a shit filing. This is like, at this point, I'm just like, there is no way the judge is gonna side with like Monica and Ron over this kind of stuff. I'm just like,
well, I saw that you look at the picture at the top of Ron and Monica's, and you see this picture of Vic that we've already seen if you've been following it 1,000 times, and it's just like, this looks like another IO9 article.
oh yeah.
Like at the top of that, you had that hands reaching out picture, and it's just like it. And that's why I think it was kind of like take this, Vic. We're gonna attack you through the legal system publicly. And that's why it's so massive, and that's why it's got all this irrelevant crap in it, like his fiance's like "you hurt me" statements and all this stuff. And I think they're trying to make him pay every penny they can to get his team to go through and strike things.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because it's like what Flash and Nick said before. They're trying to make this lawsuit drag on for a long time, as long as they can. I'm just like, oh boy, they're just trying to take the bullshit way out of here.
Yeah, they're taking shortcuts on their end for the
Yeah,
most part while trying to get him to spend basically the entire GoFundMe.
yeah. They just keep attacking the GoFundMe. It's like the war chest. We're just like, no, no, that's the biggest threat to us. If he has more money to go against us, we're fucked.
Yeah. Well, on the other hand, they're like, well, we're gonna get this when we win our TCPAs. So it's just like, well, which one is it, guys? Are you gonna win
Yeah,
or are you gonna lose?
and yeah, not to mention your deposition videos didn't look that great at all.
Oh, they were horrible.
Horrible, especially Ron's. I'm just like, I have never seen so much stupidity. Well, probably in my life from that. I'm just like, I was like, I do not recall. But then you remember something very long ago in the past. It's like you don't remember what you ate that day, that breakfast that day. I'm just like, oh god, dude. I know you were you said you sorry, I don't know how to word it. Basically, you basically try to set this up. Basically,
Yeah, he was definitely trying to win on words. If this thing goes past the TCPAs, like it could go either way.
yeah,
And there's all kinds of, oh, it's gonna fail for sure, coming from Twitter laws lawyers, and of course Nick's like, it could go either way. Like these things are hard to win. He's been saying that the whole time.
it is.
But
But
if it goes to a jury and you have these people, if you have Monica tell that story that she didn't even tear up for, and
you mean
was,
that fake tear up?
yeah, exactly, the fake tear up
Yeah,
with the weird body language, and it's, you would think that as an actor she could do a better performance than that.
yeah. Well, at least I could give her credit. She at least did a little bit better than Ron.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's trying to win on words, and hopefully it goes beyond the TCPA, because if people can see this guy in a seat, he's going to be shown for the weasel that he is.
yeah. And on that note, talking about the deposition videos from Monica, there's actually one note I want to try to hit on for this. So when she said, okay, this is something I've learned a lot from watching a lot of Law and Order SVU. So if Monica said she was raped at 15, this is where I find it a bit iffy. So majority of times, I don't say this is like 100% of the time, but a majority of it, it's like when women and girls get raped, right?
Mhm.
After that, most of them would probably end up having PTSD afterwards. If that was the case, Monica most likely would end up having PTSD. From what she said from that story was Vic. That's my assumption. I don't think it's 100% true. That's just the way I'd go about from learning, just experience from watching a lot of Law and Order for you, and just from going to common things about things. Because I actually did know someone who actually did have PTSD from that as well. So I'm just like, the story doesn't add up, Monica. Because I'm thinking, in a psychological standpoint, you would freak out a lot more when you were in that room with Vic if that was the case. That's just my take on it, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, when people have traumatic things that happen to them, we have a tendency to forget everything or to remember everything in vivid detail, unfortunately. And, for that being a 10-year-old thing that's supposedly as traumatic as it is, you have to wonder. And I don't know about her backstory. Like I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah, you're right.
That's so long ago. Like, wow, what is that? Like 28 years ago, if when she was 15 or around that age. Like, wow. So that means that she would have been in her lower to mid 30s when this thing allegedly happened with Vic. And I'm sitting here picturing this woman who's so not soft spoken, right? Like she's very loud, she's very energetic, she does well in front of a camera. I'm trying to picture her being overwhelmed with power, with the sheer power of Vic's masculinity, not being able to do anything, as he, air quote, French kisses her. And I don't know if, like, you can't really French kiss somebody who's not willing,
Yeah.
especially for a prolonged period of time. It just doesn't happen that way. If it's not reciprocated, then you're basically slobbering all over a person's mouth, and they laugh at you because that's just, or they slap you, or I don't know, kick you in the groin.
Yeah,
One of
it's
those
like
types of
that's the
things.
most common things probably most likely happen. It's just like, but when she said she went along with it, I kept repeating that to myself in my head. That does not sound right.
Well, that's admitting consent right
Yeah,
there.
that's
Like,
sort of many things.
I didn't say no. The story's changed. In some versions, she's asked if she puts up any resistance, and she says yes, but otherwise she doesn't mention it. Sometimes she talks about French kiss, other times she talks about him throwing her on the bed. There's a bunch of small inconsistencies, but the biggest thing to me, she's like, this happened before dinner. And then Stan, who basically said it didn't happen this way, or else he'd have memory of it, comes and saves her. They go to dinner, and then they go back to his hotel room, and she's out on his patio behind his place talking to Michelle. It's like, you went back there? You went back there after you said this happened to you? Like, no.
That makes no sense at all either. And
You're
it's
saying
kind of
this man
like what?
assaulted you.
Yeah, and it's kind of, and if I remember too, didn't Cara Edwards say a few similar things to that too?
Yeah, I mean, she was all like, so she has her email to Funimation on February the 8th, and then she has her affidavit to the case as it's pending now. And in her affidavit, she refers to emails having been sent, and she claims that she didn't know he was fired at that time, which is questionable, but whatever. But in the email, she she brings up the tango dance where she's like, he grabbed me in a super tight tango move or something like that. That is like,
Ooh,
I forget her words.
yeah, I forgot him too. But I'm just like, but when the video showed up, I'm just like, Cara, you gotta remember, people record this stuff for panels. When this happens and you say this, people will find it, and then you'll get debunked for it. And that's what happened. That,
Yeah, that video had been posted, I think, back in April actually, and it was just bumped back up. And then she's all like, well, you guys are just trying to intimidate people from coming forward. It's like, no, we didn't even know that you
no,
were involved in this.
no, that's not the case. Because if anything, this whole thing discourages actual people from coming forward. That's all it does. And that's what I think one of the major problems that came from the Me Too movement. So let me get on this. So I originally, at first, I did support the Me Too movement, but then I started hating it after all the terrible things it started doing more than good. Like, was people like Johnny Depp, Chris Hardwick, especially Vic. This is the most important one, I think. This is probably like the most important one to show the problems that came from Me Too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the ones that has happened almost exclusively behind closed doors and online. Others have had some kind of television or newspaper, kind of spreading information. But it's been interesting to see how social media has caused this phenomenon, especially in Vic's case, because it takes is that one viral tweet, and then people, they start remembering things differently from 10 years ago. It's like, oh wow, well maybe this happened to me. And it's incredible how either people build things up differently in their heads, they alter their memories, or they just are flat out lying for attention.
Most likely with flat out lying for attention. That's what I think Monica's been doing for a while. Well, that and the whole get rid of him because how we're jealous of his talent and his beliefs. So that one really hit me and just like, y'all are really gonna get trying to go after him just because of his beliefs and how jealous you are of his talent. So what did you think of that that part. Do you think that's entirely true?
Well, there had been rumors that he was a Republican, that he was conservative, and in
Yeah.
the depositions, it came out that he actually is a conservative. So I absolutely do know this to be true because I used to consider myself one.
Mm,
I consider myself a libertarian now, but I never, for some reason, some people just cannot cooperate with people who vote differently than them,
yeah.
and it drives people insane. Some people, like, especially in these industries, any entertainment industry, you look at it, you'll find it's completely leaning in one direction, and it's enough to get you isolated and for people to gang up on you and to blacklist you and want you out. And I completely believe that that was part of the reason, that definitely his success, his talent, all these things that you could be envious of, those things contribute too, but you add these pieces of the puzzle together looking for a motive, and it's not that hard to find. Sometimes it's the most petty thing that you can imagine that causes these things.
Yeah. But by the way, is a libertarian different from a liberal?
It's different. So it's kind of like more based on like free speech, which is, like have liberty no matter what, kind of. Which is funny, I would be that way while also being like, hey, you shouldn't be able to defame people and cause damage if it's a lie, because I feel like you have to draw a line at some level. You should be able to say what you want to say,
Yeah.
but
Even if you
there
don't
should,
like it.
yeah, people should be able to say what they want to say unless it's causing damage to people, like violent harm or monetary harm, and it's a lie. In which case, people should be able to have a legal recourse to come back and to make up for those damages. So that's basic. I kind of look at politics in a authoritarian versus a libertarian instead of left versus right.
Yeah.
And I haven't actually been following politics much because I hate the drama. I just wish everybody could fricking get along, like
Right. It's
what.
so hard nowadays, especially with the kind of things going on in politics right now, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's the thing though. Is like I had never seen people get so crazy in my life
Yeah.
as I did in 16. 2016 was insanity. It's
Yeah.
so negative, so negative. And I don't pin that on any one person, but it's just I feel like that's kind of the way the world is trending. The more and more we're reliant on being able to just toss people away.
Yeah. And like for me, it's like always see it both ways because I consider myself a moderate, which is basically in between. Considered in between liberal and conservative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because which is kind of funny too, because there are times I actually like AOC and I also like Ben Shapiro, who are completely different sides of the political spectrum. But I don't always agree with everything they say though. I agree with some points each of them say, but not everything they say though. Because I don't because when I see some of the things they say, okay, that's just stretching it, honestly. Because I am also Hispanic, so I can kind of relate to the stuff currently going on, at the
Mm-hmm.
detention centers and everything. I do think it's a human rights violation, but I wouldn't necessarily compare it to concentration camps. That's just how I think. Other than that, that's just how my politics is right now. I don't want to dive too much into it at the moment while we're trying to talk about this other stuff as well. But I do feel, but considering it, politics does play a little bit of a role to this kind of stuff.
Right, and that's the only point I'm trying to make. Even if I was on one end of the political spectrum and you were on the other one, you know, that shouldn't matter. You should be able to talk about things issue by issue and not have to place people in a good or bad column depending on which way they cast a single vote. That's all I'm saying. But these people, they can't do that. They can't. They have to compartmentalize and they have to make things easier and just be like, oh, you're this kind of person. When every person is a whole world of possibilities and opinions.
Yeah.
But that I honestly think that him being a conservative in a field that's definitely not conservative.
Yeah, super
Definitely is.
liberal after everything.
The same thing could happen if you had like a flock of conservatives in like a corporation, and there's like some liberal, like they could be targeted too. It could go either way, but it's definitely, in my opinion, something that is factored into a lot of the animosity that's been thrown towards Vic. I mean, you look at the tweet that kicked this off.
Yeah.
The tweet that's saying he's been, what was it, rude and homophobic to fans or something like that, creepy and homophobic for years. It's like this whole thing was about him not signing Yowie 10
Yeah.
years ago.
And then his whole thing was fans nowadays. So that's the thing. That's another thing I hate considered about me too. So nowadays, I think that's one of the things I hate. So basically, it's like to a point where people have become super sensitive, where probably like touching you on the shoulder could be considered sexual harassment to that kind of ordeal.
Yeah, or holding a door open for somebody could be seen as like belittling them.
Brie Larson.
Oh, exactly. It's like,
No, not exactly, but I just like throwing shade out there for her because I definitely don't like how she did a lot of things.
Origami in chat says the gravest sin is to not sign Yowie art. Obviously. Let's throw 10,000 likes at it. Like, jeez.
Yeah. But so, by the way, while we're on this topic on stuff, so you are part of DNA Crows, correct?
I have been, yes, I am.
Okay. So you all share different views, do you?
Yeah, for me to say I am part of DNA Crows, I'm not actually part of their channel. We call ourselves the Broly Bros.
Yeah.
But yeah, the podcast that I'm on, it is the Couch Crows. And yes, Origami, he's a little left-leaning. I'm kind of, I don't know. I would say, if anything, I'm a little bit more right-leaning, to be fair, to be honest. And so is Crow. But, the politics, they don't matter. We have common interests, and that's where we find common ground. And, we can agree to disagree. That's how we were raised. We're kind of older guys now.
Yeah. But nowadays, it's more difficult because a lot of people, mainly SJWs, act like a bunch of grown children a lot. And to be honest, there's a difference between political protest and acting like a man-child. And this is coming from me, who's only 20 years old, honestly. I've grown a lot within these past 2 years to learn a lot, too, about this kind of stuff. Admittedly, I am still childish, but at the end of the day, I'm still at least less childish than some people who are on Kick Vic.
I would say a lot, if not most, if not all. Let's get real. Especially their figurehead, like their leaders too. Like, oh my gosh, watching Ron and that deposition, and this guy is such a little man baby.
He really is.
He even has like a man baby face.
Oh, and here's actually a funny part too. So I sent a pic of what Ron looks like to my friend, our Quieter, who doesn't know what Ron looks like, but he only knows a little about the Vic Mignogna stuff. So when he saw Ron for the first time, he straight up said Ron looks like the P word. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I do.
I was like, oh my god, you think so too? I was like, oh.
He looks creepy. He does.
Yeah, and you brought this on yourself, Ron. You brought this on yourself for doing this. I'm just like, and I love too, when I saw the deposition, I was like, Ty straight up asked the same thing too. I was like, all right, are you a pedophile? I was like, no. Or do you get offended when people call you pedophiles? Yeah, yes. So do you think Vic would be upset when people call him a pedophile? Simple logic right there. Come on. This is what blows me up with this whole ordeal. It's just like anytime Ron, Monica, or Marshy say something, I feel like sometimes I will end up losing brain cells from it.
Oh yeah, almost every single time. Like the only times I don't is when they leave their like typical default response. Like Monica will drop 3 hearts in a tweet, and it's just like, I'm still losing brain cells because she has this pattern, and I've seen so many of her tweets that I've identified that this is her pattern. So I'm still losing brain cells all the time, even if it's not completely stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, Origami in chat, he said he hangs out with Crow and myself to
Yeah.
get disagreed with. You know, like, and it's true. He says that to me on occasion, and it's true. We've had disagreements about who we want to bring on, like what we want to talk about. We have disagreements about politics, like I mentioned earlier, but that's what makes it interesting. And I think the stuff with Vic, it's a little bit about hive mind or we pay you no mind.
Yeah. By the way, I actually did see y'all's live stream about when you brought on Ruben London on the voice of Dante. Honestly, I honestly think you guys deserve more credit than you actually did for bringing him on for doing that.
You know, I can't take any credit. A friend of mine, Toy Bounty Hunter, I've just been talking with him for the last couple months. He asked, I think he asked Crow if he could record for Ruben, you know, because we were at Anime Matsuri and he wanted a backup recording or something like that. And that's how we made that connection. And he was, you know, Ruben's, he's just a really down to earth guy. As much as people try and say otherwise, maybe he's the nicest of guys. Like he knows that he has some kind of notoriety, like he's well known, and he'll still take so much time out of his day to talk to some person he doesn't know the name of. That's the kind of guy he is, and we really enjoyed having him on.
Yeah, so he's kind of similar to Vic then.
Yeah, very similar, and I think that's kind of why, you know, yeah, he stopped talking about it, but that's kind of how he got in trouble.
Oh, with what?
You know, because he appeared on some Flash stream where they weren't even talking about Vic, but because it's Yellow Flash, you know.
Oh yeah.
And, and because of all that, like all these things started popping up. The guy gets shot at and nearly dies, and no one really seems to care outside of a few people. Like I saw
Wait, he
Yellow
actually
Flash.
got shot?
He didn't get shot.
Oh, but
He
you mean
didn't
like
get,
he got shots thrown at him, basically?
he got shot at. Like he and a friend of his, they got shot at out in Guatemala, and people barely even talked about it. I saw a Yellow Flash video, and
that's
it was a few people picked it up, but you know, the media only gets involved when they have some PC issue to talk about.
Yeah.
You know,
That's kind of sad, honestly. When you think about it, they would probably most likely cover it if he actually died from it.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing him retell the story, like this person was chasing him down whatever road they were on, like committed to trying to take their car or to kill them. It was actually crazy experience, and it's so crazy to think, like, as well known as he is, it got so little coverage compared to him not even speaking out on behalf of Vic. You know?
You know what I think the problem is for that? So I honestly think there are some people, some voice actors out there that I honestly think that do support Vic in this situation, but I think they're afraid to speak out against it because they don't want to end up in controversy over it. That's what I think. I mean, I for example, I don't want to put out names specifically, but I want to go with the voice actors that still follow Vic on Twitter. That is. For another example too, Chuck Kuber was a little bit under fire because he said he supported Vic, and he got shit for it. So that's why I think there are some voice actors out there who are like afraid to admit they support, they're technically I stand with Vic, but they want to end up in controversy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like Vic is a really well-liked guy. There's people who don't like him for reasons we've talked about, but you look at his fan base and he definitely has connections. You heard Monica saying he's so powerful because he's so good at networking. It's just like, yeah, he definitely has people who would love to speak out on his behalf. But you look at these things and how they blow up, not only with the people in the industry, right? Like the journalists who are just foaming at the mouth to get, some kind of like standout person in the industry or something like that, and to throw them under the bus. Like, if people think that nobody's talking because they don't like Vic and they disagree
No, it's
with
because they
him.
don't want to be under fire from SJWs and PC and like PC people. Well, NPCs to be more precise, or like be under attack by Anime News Network because they played a big role in trying to ruin Vic's life.
Exactly. Yeah. It's their living, like that's the bottom line.
And if I remember, like, did this Ruby co-stars ever say anything about it? I don't think they ever have.
I don't know that much about Ruby. I know that was it Shannon McCormick and Jen Brown from Rooster Teeth have they've shown their disdain for Vic and encouraged the Kick Vic crowd, most certainly.
Oh man, because I just remember from what I know, his Ruby co-stars haven't said anything because I know Barbara Dunkelman's the voice of Yang in there, and I don't know the other two quite well, but I know they haven't really said anything at all either. So I'm just leaving to speculate. They just don't want to say anything too because they don't want to be under fire too with Rooster Teeth themselves and the SJW propaganda.
Yeah, no, speaking of Me Too, like Monica was acting like she was afraid she was going to lose her job, but she already knew Vic was fired.
Yeah,
She already knew how Chris Sabat would side with her and how he actually disliked Vic. And he's kind of, as my understanding is he's kind of one of the gateways. He's got a lot of influence in Funimation for a voice actor more than the others. And you're looking at Me Too and the direction it's been taking, where there's pretty much been no repercussions that I've seen. I don't know if you've seen any, but I haven't
I
seen
haven't either.
repercussions up until this. Never did they think there was going to be any backlash.
Oh, but were they wrong? Were they wrong? They were so wrong.
Yeah, they were wrong, but if they happen to win the TCPAs, they get out of this just taking a little bit of a PR hit. They'll get their money back for whatever law stuff that they had to pay for, the litigation costs. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, because if that does happen, and if they do win, I'm gonna lose more faith in humanity than I already have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to get out the Lego set and try rebuilding a little bit of that piece by piece. But
Right.
yeah, holy crap! Like you think about what Vic has gone through. Somebody who has a decent amount of money. Thank goodness he's been going to conventions still because of the I Stand With Vic, because of the YouTubers, because of
Thanks to people like Nick,
Nick.
Flat,
Yeah,
mainly just Nick more because he's the one who's like did the GoFundMe and everything.
for sure. And you think about all these things that had to come together for him to be able to even get to the spot he is now. And imagine an average man trying to do this. It's unfeasible. It's not going to happen. You're not going to have $200,000 to throw down in a lawsuit.
Oh yeah, no.
After you just lost your job.
Yeah, especially it's because lawsuits are expensive too. Because that's why even like people like Mark Wade need to do one too, just for his lawsuit fund as well. Man.
Yeah, I mean, you weigh that, and then you weigh the backlash that you've been seeing for making accusations. There hasn't been any up until now. So it's just like, well, I'm sure Monica and them were like, well, I've seen this before. I can get tens of thousands of likes and remove this guy, get a bunch of sympathy, and build myself up while tearing him down without much, if any, risk.
Yeah. And one of the theories I think from being, they're doing this out of jealousy. One thing I actually found pretty funny that I saw from an old video from Watch Mojo about 4 years ago. They did the top 10 voice actors in anime, English dubbed voice actors, mind you. So this is just me speculating something. I don't think it's true, but this is just a thought that came into my mind. So when I saw that, it was 4 years ago. So Sean Schimmel or another DBZ voice actor, except for Chris Sabat and Monica, were nowhere on that list. So Chris Sabat was number 8 on that list. And Monica, I don't agree with this option, but she was actually number 5 on that list, which I was like, No, don't agree with it. Do not agree with it. But I was really, I was like, this is too funny and coincidental. So the top 3 people on there, Vic was number 3 on that list, and number 2 was Todd Habercorn. I was like, oh my, this cannot be so coincidental. Please tell me. But and then I was kind of a little not too surprised by number 1, but number 1 was Johnny Young Bosch. But if I remember correctly, he had something going against him too. But I'm not entirely sure because I remember Nick mentioned him once on stream, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, is he the one who did the voice for Vash and Trigun? I can't. Like I said, I don't really know voice actors. I didn't even know who Vic was.
Johnny Young Bush was also the voice of Ichigo from Bleach, but he was also the second Black Power Ranger.
Okay, yeah, he was probably Vash then, because Ichigo sounds like that.
Yeah, because I just found it too funny. So I was like, so Watch Mojo kind of predicted the jealousy that people had for Vic and possibly Todd Habercorn. I'm just like,
oh my gosh, Todd versus Pridemore. That's.
I haven't caught up on that, honestly. I don't know how that's going at all, but I'm just like, I feel bad for Todd too, because he was friends with Vic too, because he was supporting him, and then he got accused by Jesse Pridemore. I'm just like, when I saw that happen, I'm just like, okay, at this point, I am about to assume any woman who has dyed color hair is just basically an SJW at this point. That's what I'm always going to assume. If they're fat and have colored hair, or either one of those, but not both of them, they're probably an SJW.
I thought so too. I've actually met a few cool people lately, but yeah, I'm totally there with you. Like, it used to be this punk rock thing, and now it's just kind of like it's kind of been taken over by SJWs. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You know, you like shave half your head and suddenly you're an expert on human rights. It's just like, what's going on with these people?
Yeah, it's like, and I didn't know entirely about this too until like this whole Vic thing. I knew about SJWs sort of beforehand last year, before all this happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how actually cancerous they were when all this popped up, and how much PC culture was a bitch too.
Yeah,
because those two things, like everyone says, is ruining the entertainment industry. It really is, along with wokeness.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that
Yeah.
these kind of ideas are being embraced. You know, you see it shouted out by Hollywood, which is filled with some of the most reprehensible people on the planet, but they're trying to be the voice of moral reason for us. So it's rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah.
And that's basically the heart of PC culture.
Yeah. Because that's one of the things I hate too about PC, especially like how it's like that also plays a big role of like, oh yeah, you did this 10 years, you did this like 10 years ago, you deserve to be punished now. I'm just like, okay, if we're gonna go by that logic, then this is something I think Comic Explain hit on well like a while back. He's like, if we're gonna go by that logic, then everyone should be accountable from what they did when they were 12. I'm just like, yeah, because I've hit on a few notes. The James Gunn stuff, the Kevin Hart stuff. Admittedly, those things were kind of bad, but those were like 10 years ago. I'm just like, they're just a bunch of tweets. It's not like they actually did anything like horrific that was actually done.
Yeah, and when it comes to like actually dealing out kind of, I don't know, when it comes to judging people and whatnot, I think people should have like a reflective lens, kind of, because society is changing so fast.
Yeah, it's changed, but it's not changing for that well. Well, over here in America, it's not changing that well for the better.
Yeah, I agree. It's you know, technology has brought us so many things. It's brought me the opportunity to be on your show here talking with you today.
Yeah, most definitely.
But on the flip side, it's exacerbating a lot of problems that have always existed for humans. You know,
especially on Twitter.
Suddenly we're communicating in all these ways where we're not even seeing people, and we're able to turn people off with a click of a button and remove friends and say things without, any scrutiny whatsoever. I mean, people, it's crazy because it's out there forever too.
Yeah.
Like when you say something, the memory kind of fades and whatnot. The damage is kind of localized. It's kind of spread by word of mouth. Maybe it's picked up and spread. But on the internet, that's there forever, forever, forever.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter how many times people say it, and people say like that's not true, it really is. It really is. Unless if somehow magically you can be like a specialized hacker or something to do that kind of stuff, then no. I don't see any way of that anything you put on the internet going away forever.
Yeah. So, have you seen Stan Dolan? Have you seen his tweets?
I saw a few of them from what I saw on flashes and Nick's videos and streams. So I was like, my God. So I was like, thank you, a man who's a oh yeah, Monica's flat out lying. She is flat out lying to me. It's like if that happened, I would have remembered that because it would have been that memorable of someone getting, sexually harassed like that.
Yeah, no, of course, law Twitter is out there trying to sweep it under the rug and saying it's no big deal because all they account for is the first line because it's convenient to them. But in actuality, I feel like it's devastating. I'm not a lawyer, but it
Yeah,
seems devastating because their story's already unbelievable.
yeah, because he's not being a lawyer, but all you need to do is take a lot of common sense and to think about how this is not unbelievable.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like,
Oh,
I feel like common sense is the common thread that these people seem to lack.
that's a lot, especially a lot of the Funimation voice actors. I'm just like, I cannot think of Funimation the same after like this whole thing. But funnily enough, it's like that's why I refused to get a subscription when I was watching Rising of the Shield, a few episodes of Rising of the Shield Hero. so, so when I first saw the first episode, right, it was like no wonder people compare this to the Vic Mignogna stuff. It literally is like the Vic Mignogna stuff.
No, literally.
Literally.
Except people aren't just calling Monica the B word all the time yet.
Yeah.
Just half of us.
Yeah. Yeah, because and it was like, yeah, it was like, and also not to mention, Rising of Shield here was actually a really good anime in my opinion. I think it's a bit underrated. I've actually watched the 21 episodes so far. It's pretty good. I was like, oh my God. I was like, let me pause on my watching Shield Hero because after watching mine in the King being put on trial and being humiliated, I was like, that is so much satisfactory because when I felt the whole thing now for me went. Have you ever watched Rising of the Shield Hero?
Yeah, I've seen up to current. I'm not sure if it's the end of the season on episode 25 or if it's just.
Yeah, I thought the end of the first season was episode 21 technically.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I was like, because when I saw that series, I was like, man, I felt for Now for me. Now for me went for a lot. He was a nice and sweet guy, just like Vic. But when he got accused of rape, he was like, and no one believed him. I was just like, I'm gonna turn dark and broody like Batman.
Where's Rachel? Yeah, no. Hopefully, we get that cathartic feeling. Just for Vic's sake. Hopefully,
Yeah.
he wins out in at least one of these TCPAs. Hopefully, he wins out in all of them. And then he's able to take it in front of a jury because, if we see the same acting skills that we saw from Monica before, and if you put Ron in front of a jury and like cross-examine that weasel, he's gonna break down. He's gonna slip up.
Oh yeah. Oh please. I hope it goes to trial. I hope. Like it's like you said, Ron's gonna make the case lose for him, and and I wonder how Jamie's actually gonna be on this stand if it actually goes to trial. I know. Did they? I know that she had a deposition, but I know it hasn't. Did they actually do the video recording for hers? Because if they
Did
actually
she have one? Like, I haven't heard anything about it.
yeah, I haven't heard about it either. Like with her Vic's, Ron's, or Monica's. I would think Jamie would have one, But if she does, I don't think they haven't reviewed. Ty hasn't given it to Nick yet. I would have think. But if it has, if Nick does reveal it, I am most definitely gonna do a reaction video on that deposition of Jamie Marchi, because from the way she is acting on Twitter, like the biggest childish voice actor ever. It's like, my God, if you act like this on Twitter, I cannot wait to see how you act if we see your deposition. I will straight up make a reaction video on it and just give
I think her chances are second best after Funimation, because Funimation, you've got to make the case where you tie them responsible for their employees. You have to make
yeah.
the argument that they are employees, and because I don't know if just their tweets are enough to get them, to get past a TCPA with. But if you can say that they're responsible for these other actors.
Yeah, because honestly,
story.
it's bullshit that they let Jamie Marchi go on Twitter like this and not have any repercussions, but yet you let Vic go over this stuff, but no consequences for Jamie or Monica or anyone else? That's bullshit. These are double standards.
Yeah, I'm not sure Origami. I don't think she's been deposed either. And if she has, we obviously haven't seen it.
Yeah, we just haven't seen it yet. I'm hoping she has. That's what I'm hoping. If not, then we're just waiting to see.
They got the ifly worded statement by Vic that admitted he touched her hair, but they're trying to play it off like they spin everything. It's like, oh, he grabbed it. It's like that's not what he said.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's just like, okay, it's just very minor. It's not like the worst thing ever. Okay, he admitted it, but he's admitting it to where he meant no harm at all. That's the difference. It's like you try to hug someone even though you don't want to hug, but you just do it to be playful and jokingly, but mean no harm. That's why because you're just jokingly playing, just try to be friendly and all that stuff. Probably not the best example, but that's the top of one of the things that come to the top of my head, because that's actually happened to people I've known in the past, and me, because oh my God, because there are people because there are people I've known who experienced similar stuff to what Vic has experienced. I've had a little bit of experience with that, and it's not fun. It's really not. It's like it will still come back. Some people will use that to still come back and haunt you and bite you in the ass, even if it's like over like 2 years or something. It's like a stupid example, like in Marvel Comics, right? Like back in the day, in like probably the Golden or Silver Age, Ant-Man Hank Pym slapped his wife, and to this day, people will still bring it up to this day about and give him shit for slapping his wife when he's done worse things before. I'm just like, oh my God, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But it's just like that's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to. I stand it with Vic, because it's like I could relate because it's character assassination, and it's terrible because no one likes to have their their character ruined at all. That's like if because if you had someone like accuse you of well, I don't know how I would say it. I was thinking of either just assault or just sexual harassment, and that just ruins that comes out of left field out of nowhere, and you have I don't know what you're talking about. People will believe it and will use, and that'll spread around, and people will come out, and people will try to ruin your life for it.
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of people, they've had siblings or they've had friends where they've seen this stuff happen to them, or they've managed to not have their lives implode, but have seen the signs of this kind of thing. When I was still I was a legal adult, I had something like this happen to an extent. Like I go to my first job, and a few weeks into the job, this girl, she draws on a napkin a heart, and inside she says, "I want you," and writes down her number. So we start texting for a day or two, and I was timid at the time. Like I'm a kid, I only dated so much. Like that's kind of a suggestive thing.
Yeah.
I don't give her anything that she doesn't send to me first. Like I wasn't taking any chances in that regard. And I go to work like a couple of days later, and I walk in, and the person that's over us in that part of the store is like, "Hey, you need to stop sending these inappropriate texts." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Here, look. It's not. I'm not doing anything that's not being sent to me." And and I was like, "You know what? Never mind." And I left work right then, grabbed a napkin, came back to the store manager. I was like, "Hey, look at what this person has written me. This has been going on. I'm not going to have this follow me around for the rest of my life. Like, this is freaking me out. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciated the work. I appreciate the pay. Goodbye."
So
And
you
gave him my
basically left
shirt.
after that?
Yeah, I quit. I found another job. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to put up with that because it was a environment where there's a bunch of flirty women, and I felt like they were coming after me. They didn't like me for some reason, or I have no idea. Maybe her boyfriend or something. Maybe she had a boyfriend and he found it. I have no idea what people's motives are. I just know that women do this.
Yeah.
I know it myself because I've seen it happen to me. I've seen it happen to my friends. I've seen it happen to family members. And to act like this doesn't happen, especially when you can act with anonymity online, it's it's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah. And especially, another thing I find, with this kind of stuff too, because, I'm still a college kid, right? One of the things I think I hate that universities have and colleges have been going around doing, they've fallen under, going very PC and sensitive. Not all, but some, especially to the one I've actually been to. So that's the thing I don't like. So the university I've attended, people are very PC and sensitive, right? So
Hmm.
because, like, based on your story too, I know how that feels. But except I wish I could take back and just have left, because the one thing I hated, like my freshman year, I tried to be friendly. We saw was some new people that came to my dormitory, right? One of them was a girl, and she was like, "Oh, being nice and everything." I was just trying to be joking and friendly, right? So I admittedly was being stupid. I didn't mean no harm though. I hugged her even though she told me not to, so I did anyways and just probably took her from behind. But next thing I know, she ended up getting all startled and everything. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any harm." Later on, I found out she actually had PTSD, and she was also a crazed pothead. So I was like, "Oh." So this is like a while, but this was like after a while I found out. So, and then later on, she would try, but like a few days later, she would try to get me kicked out of my dorm over that stuff, and she lied about what happened too and everything. So I'm just like, and the funny thing is too, it's like when I mentioned how the story was, I think it's bullshit that this is happening to me to a bunch of people. That got around, and especially to some people in the administration on campus. Well, and they didn't want me, and apparently because of that, they didn't want me joining, an on-campus fraternity. And not only that, they didn't want me going around, Greek events because supposedly I made girls uncomfortable for just being there, which I thought, okay, this is just straight up prejudice and discrimination. I'm just like, I admit what I did was stupid, but the fact that she lied about what happened and got away with it kind of just boggles me. I'm just like, it's kind of hard to, it's very hard because I still, I wish I could take it back, but it's just like it's kind of like what Vic did because that's why I can really. He didn't meant no harm, but he was also being he kind of meant he was being stupid but meant no harm. That's the page I was going about, and to think that that shit could ruin your life, and it's like it's very hard for me to admit honestly, if you can't tell, Broly.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the case of Vic, like people make mistakes.
Yeah,
Humans are imperfect,
yeah, that's one
and
thing I like to hit on because humans
people
often.
people would hear your story and they'd be like, let's bury this guy. Like that's the
Yeah,
kind of world we
that's what
live in.
happened to me at my university too. That's
You
the
know,
worst part.
that's how sensitive people are. You
Yeah,
talk
and
about the kinds of touches that you can have with people because I've taken, speaking of college, I've had some communication classes, and for some reason they were talking about the types of touch, like when you're not familiar with someone very much, like the shoulder, like kind of the bony parts, like the shoulder, the elbow, the head, maybe. Like those are air quote more appropriate to touch and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And then you think about a society where hugging is commonplace. You know, it,
Yeah.
and Vic, for freaking hugs, for people who have been standing in his line watching him hug people for probably half an hour to a couple hours, because I've seen his lines.
Yeah.
Like, he's not
They're
super
huge.
famous, but for the niche community, he's pretty well known.
Yeah.
And to say like, I was so uncomfortable, I had no idea he was gonna hug me like everybody else in front of me. Like, the dude's freaking Italian. It's part of his culture. It's how he was
Yeah.
brought up. It doesn't mean anything other than that. You know?
Yeah.
It's it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I didn't actually know he was Italian until you brought it up.
Well, he's Italian American, but think about his name, Mignana. Vic Mignana.
Yeah.
It's an Italian last name.
Well,
He's came from an affectionate family where you hug and kiss everybody in your family. And these people talking about like, oh, it's never okay to be an older man and kiss on children. Like, I kiss my niece, I kiss my son, I
yeah.
kiss my nephews. These people, like, what kind of freaking bubble do they live in?
Yeah. I'm just like, that's another thing is like when I heard Matt Black say that kind of stuff, I'm just like, oh man, you already made me mixed feelings about you. I'm just like, and on speaking of which, I'm just gonna mention this briefly. After seeing Matt Black stuff, I would honestly say he's an Uncle Tom.
I don't like the guy personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I
I kind of have mixed feelings about him, but for me, it's just like, yeah, I mainly don't like him either. From after the whole Etika stuff and the feud that almost happened with Sammy, so
Shout out to SG Sammy.
yeah,
Like, I don't always agree with the content you make, but the fact that you're making it, I
yeah.
can appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with half was Yellow Flash. I don't agree with everything that Yellow Flash puts out or just his points, but I appreciate what he at least does. I mean, doing this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, yo, what's up, fam? I freaking love that guy.
Yeah. Here's his intro. I kind of stopped doing my intro at first too because I feel like I was like, man, the more I look back on it, I was like, I think it's a little bit more unnecessary. Anytime I try to do a reaction or just try to do another video, sometimes, unless it's like something big that I'm trying to do, like this. So,
But yeah, I mean, just putting it back in perspective, like, so the tweet came out from Hanlea, who's backtracked, right? The person who started the media fiasco is like, well, I actually don't know anything. It's all just been word of mouth. Then you scoot forward a little bit, and they're just trying to find things that stick. You have the Polygon article on the 25th, where it's just like, oh, Vic was overly handsy with fans, and then it starts escalating bit by bit, and then you have Monica come out, and then it all goes to hell. Like, it's definitely her fault more than anyone's. What's happened to Vic?
yeah.
She's
like, it's beyond stupid to like you let this happen. So don't try blaming this shit on like others for this. That's the thing I hate about too. When some mom came out against Vic saying, "Oh, he did this to my daughter. She did this to my daughter. I mean, he did this to my daughter." I was like, "You took the pic and you were there. You consented to it. How does that make any sense?"
Yeah, if you're underage, you're not allowed in these cons, from what I understand, without supervision. So just like, whatever, whatever. You guys are so full of crap.
They really are. I'm just like, oh my god. I'm just like, I even get mad at parents for doing that. I'm just like, you.
And again, like, as to a reason why to lie, like, if you don't like the person, why not?
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? Involve you in a lawsuit when he's already trying and potentially failing to sue people? Like, if he fails at the TCPA level, the fact that you can't try and clear your name without having to pay for other people's litigation costs,
Right.
it makes it's such a decentive. That's probably not even a word, but it's the opposite of an incentive. Let me just say it that way. Where it's just like, yeah, you don't want to do this usually because you can't. You can't. The risk is too great. The money, it costs too much money. Nobody can do this. Nobody can do this. But thank goodness for his fans.
Right. If it weren't for his fans, it would have been. Weren't for the massive fan base he had, he wouldn't have gotten that much on GoFundMe. Did you ever actually had a chance to donate to GoFundMe?
I donated my own way. I've gone to see him.
Yeah. Okay.
I went through his line multiple times. Let's just put it that way.
Oh yeah, that's right. You went to Anime Matsuri.
Yeah, I went and saw him every time I could,
Yeah.
and I had him sign a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. If he ever does come to the East Coast, particularly the DC metropolitan area, I'll be there.
Right on.
Yeah, because that's the area I'm in. So I'm just like, if you ever come here, I'll try to holler at you.
Yeah, you need to get him up that way. I'm a little closer to that region myself. I won't say where exactly, but
yeah, I know. I don't blame you because like how was Tug and everything. It's like I feel bad for Tug after all the shit he's been through. Was like on Twitter and Infamous.
Yeah, I mean, hey there! Shout out to that umbrella guy.
Yeah, no, that umbrella guy. He's our favorite Southerner.
Welcome to the wonderful world of anime. Like that guy's, massive shout out, massive props to Tug. He is the actual nicest person I've met in all of this.
Yeah, it's like when we saw him with the mask and having his arm taped up and everything. It's like you can't blame the guy because he's been threatened by Infamous, Dominic Sky, everybody to if you find out where his face is and his name, we'll track him down and try to attack where his work is and everything. They already try to get CPS on his kids and everything. I'm just like, oh, so it's like I can't blame the guy. It's like personally, it's just like I understand where he's coming from, so I can't blame him for how that is.
Yeah, and these people, they deny and they deflect and they point away, and it's a very effective strategy. Never admit any fault and always point to a distraction. But seriously, Tug is he's the most genuine, the most sincere person I've met face to face in all of this. Especially crazy because he's got so many people that want his time, they want his attention. He remembers people. He's happy to talk with you if you ever run into him. He's the real deal. He really is, and I think that's why he can get 1,000 to 2,000 people to watch his live streams. It's his personality. He kind of talks in circles and rambles the whole time.
Yeah, and it works for him.
But it works for him because he's a really likable guy and he's genuine. So
I actually want to try to bring him on in one of my streams in the future because if I'm actually trying to make this a series of streams for iStams pick people to come on because I brought you on first and then later and then I try to bring on other YouTubers down the line to talk about and interview them. First it was you. I was also gonna have Dragon Basie at first to come along to join you, but she hadn't had a chance to make time, or she just hadn't had a chance to respond to my DMs too much. So it's her doing other things. I'm not trying to call her out or anything, but I'm just if she's doing her other stuff too, it's you can do your own things. I'm not gonna bash you for anything, but it's I just wish you could have at least had more time to do it with us. I mean, that's just nothing against her or anything. I just wish you could have been on stream with us, how I originally wanted to have it planned. But but I'll try to see if I can try to get her again sometime in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the invitation and people can choose to respond or not respond. I definitely know how taxing it is to continually follow this, to try and stay up to date on all the big news, especially when the main source of that news comes at 12 o'clock for you.
For us, yeah.
It actually starts closer to 1 o'clock in the morning because he tries to make time, and I don't have time. I don't have 5 hours of my daytime to listen to it. People are like, well, why don't you just watch it the next day? I'm like, well, I try to.
Yeah, I try to. Have you actually managed to watch a full stream of him while he was still alive?
Yeah, I'm actually a night owl, but
I am too, which is also difficult because I also fight insomnia sometimes at night.
But even so, like I haven't been able to do it for a long time. I've actually gotten pretty busy, which is why my channel slowed down. I'm about to get busier still,
Oh,
but
dude.
so I probably won't be able to make much content here
Yeah.
in like a month.
Yeah.
I'll probably be done for because I'm going back to school actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah. So I going to school, working a job, being a father, being a husband.
yeah. Props to you, man, for doing all that stuff.
It takes time.
It really does, especially if you say you're a father and trying to do all this and try to go back to school, and that's really tough, honestly. Even for me, it's like me now, it's like being trying to be a college kid while trying to do all the stuff I want to do, while trying to fill up the stuff of trying to get a degree. It's kind of a little bit difficult, so I can definitely relate. You have more time things on your hands than me, so I give more props to you.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of games I'd like to play. Like,
Yeah,
I want to grab that new Pokemon game that's coming out
and
on Switch in November, and I played the crap out of all those.
yeah,
And just like, my guilty pleasures, like I like this one game, Heroes of Might and Magic, on the PC, and StarCraft, and all these things I love to do, but those might be the few things that I sparingly do, and my channel might just have to bite the dust,
yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
for a while.
Yeah, I would have been doing a little bit more on YouTube lately too, but the thing is, besides from trying to work as well, I've been also playing a lot of Persona 5 because I've been
I
trying to,
do.
yeah, I've been trying to platinum it before Royal comes out. So it's fun, but it takes up a lot of time just to do it too, because it is a little bit of pain to get some of the trophies for in that game. Overall, I do think it is fun. It is a little bit worth it. Ooh, but I'm on my second playthrough of it right now. I might need to do a third one just so I could platinum it.
Yeah, man. And I'm not gonna bash games that take a lot of time
Yeah,
to make achievement. Like I think playing World of Warcraft back in vanilla was some of the most fun I've ever had playing video games. And it took too much time, but it was so fun. And I think they tried to casual it down, get the whales that are kind of seeking around, and that's why it's no longer a good game anymore. It's just kind of empty.
yeah,
No sense of real achievement.
yeah.
But make the games for the people who can actually enjoy them
Mm-hmm.
instead of trying to get everybody to play the game and incentivize people. You make a good game, you can charge a lot. You can charge a lot for monthly, you can charge a lot for updates. People will pay
Yeah. By the way, Origami says he'll edit your stuff.
it. Yeah, no, hey, I still want to be on the couch, Crows.
Yeah.
So tell Crow that I'll still make time for that, AG.
By the way, before Broly Power Maximum, were you on YouTube beforehand?
I was not. My channel was actually created on March 1st,
Oh, really? So,
I believe.
uh, you basically started you actually just started YouTube for the first time like this year.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm surprised you've actually accomplished a lot more in just a short period of time than I ever have, honestly. So I still give you props for that because, shockingly for me, I've been on YouTube for about 7 years now. So
Hey, well, maybe your guys are, more loyal. I've just got this one thing I've been talking about. I didn't actually intend for it to be a channel. I just wanted to shit post and meme. That's how it started out. Was just like I had this Vic Kicks Back thing for the YouTubers that I wanted them to use, and it turned out like nobody really wanted to use it. I think Hirohei played it once, and that's actually how I met Origami.
mm,
Funny story, but yeah. Aside from that, I got a lot of positive feedback, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I'll do this some
yeah.
more. I'll do it
Yeah, I was
some
like,
more.
yeah, it's like you said, you kind of remind me of just a smaller version of no bullshit. Yeah, because it's just you actually make well, you're basically I would say you're a commentary channel from most of your content right now. But
Mhm.
you actually point out the points, and and you probably more attention to yourself just from the thumbnails and the name of the videos.
Yeah, for sure. The reason I started talking about it was, of course, it comes from a place of interest.
Yeah,
My channel isn't monetized, so
there's that.
anything I make is only because I'm interested in doing it. But for people who can turn some money on this, and you know, fight for a good cause and make some money for themselves and or their families, more props to them, more power to them. I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. You know, that's journalism, that's news in a nutshell. People providing content. There's people playing like the what is it called? Like roadblocks or blowblock. I don't even know. My niece watches people in their like 30s play a game that looks like Minecraft.
Mm.
And they do that for a living, you know. So shout out and mad props to anybody who can actually get money from this. I never could.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I can't justify making a ton of content though, because I've got crap to do. Like
Yeah.
life is real.
Yeah. By the way, I gotta ask you from something coming as a YouTuber, do you think trying growing wanting to try to, depending on how you feel, trying to grow your channel and making views matter?
Could you rephrase that? I'm not sure I understood.
Okay, yeah, I'm just meant. So depend. So if you should basically want to try to grow, basically, I meant if you
Yeah.
try to grow your channel and stuff. Do you think trying to have views matters?
It depends on what your goal is, right? If you're
Yeah.
trying to grow your channel, then the views matter. If you're trying to monetize your channel, the views matter. If you're just doing it for the sake of having fun, then the views don't matter. However, whatever you're doing, I got some good advice from a friend recently. If you're interested, you're genuinely having fun with what you're doing, or you're genuinely interested and you feel fulfilled with what you're doing, then go for it. And if you don't, maybe that's a sign that you don't need to make that video, unless you're talking about money, and that's a different story. But if you wanted to actually grow your channel, find something that's trending while posting a lot, post daily, and then do your own stuff on the side. There's no, anybody who'd shame you for that, that's their problem.
Yeah,
That's
because
their problem.
I feel like one thing is he who shall not be named tried doing that, but did it horribly wrong.
Oh yeah, I've definitely identified other people who are kind of into not this particular issue per se, but at least similar issues that just know that they can get a name.
Yeah, because for me, I like to consider myself a multi-contented channel, even though that's probably not the best idea ever. But hey, I've been trying to go with that for a few years now. But I say that because I also do want to grow my channel and stuff, and because I think views do matter sometimes. That's why I ask you, because I want different people's input on stuff. Gather some how they think about it. Because that's what I want to just hear. Because yeah, because I know it's just how I would want to interpret things from and then just send it into my own feedback and just get how it is. Yeah.
Origami's telling me that thumbnails are important too.
Oh yeah,
Probably because he's been making a lot of my and Crow's thumbnails lately.
Yeah, I've always been doing my own thumbnails my whole time.
I just need the crying eyes. That's
Yeah.
that's all I ever asked for.
Yeah, I've just only been recently doing a little bit better. Like the only good thumbnails I have right now is like the ones that I've been doing recently. Like probably one of the best ones I have. It's stupid because I tried to make them similar to Tug's thumbnails, but I'm just like I have no other way of thinking of how to doing them right now. So one of the most recent I have, well, from a month back and just a few weeks ago, I have the Cartoon Network one I did, and I had the one where I asked this YouTuber named The Right Opinion about the Vic Mignogna stuff, and then yeah, that's actually funnily enough, that's actually my most viewed Vic video by right now from because I actually, if you don't know who The Right Opinion is, he's basically a commentary channel just like yours, but he has about 325,000 subscribers, and he talks about all this kind of stuff from YouTube drama and other stuff because he at first he was political, but then when he talks about this kind of drama stuff and other stuff, he was like he gives his in depth on it and explains how he feels because he's a social libertarian, but he always gives up saying this is how it could have been. As I would go about saying it. Like I said, I'm not the best person at explaining this stuff, but He said, but he also said if he ever had the time to do it, he would actually try to look into the Vic stuff and make a video about it. Which I was like, if you do, please, oh my god, I would love it because if he actually did it, it would get a little bit more attention outside the anime community.
Oh yeah, for sure. Shout out to the quartering, for
Oh yeah,
instance.
yeah, him too for doing that because he has like over was he's actually one of the more better most well the guys with the more amount of subs than I stand was Vic. Even though I don't agree with everything he says, or but I do agree with some of the stuff he says. I appreciate what he does, but I don't always agree with everything he does. But hey, I give him props for doing shouting out the Vic stuff and the other bullshit that goes on in gaming or entertainment. Twitch.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the people who are speaking out on this issue in particular. I
Oh
appreciate that.
yeah,
Amazing Lucas, Super Saiyan Paul, all these people who bring exposure, big and small. We've
yeah,
all just been trying to do our part, trying to fight for what we believe in. And for the longest time, it's kind of just been going on the internet, going on online without any repercussion because anytime anybody speaks up, they get either swamped by the vocal minority that controls things, or they just get muted now, which is the increasing problem. Now that people have
yeah.
figured out I can go and talk and get subscribers for this, the incentives for doing so is being taken away for people talking about SJWs and PC
Oh
culture.
yeah. That's the thing. Let me mention something about this. So speaking of which, so the one thing I actually point out because I hate this about because here's one thing I believe: as long as Susan still stays CEO, YouTube will keep going down the drain. Because I feel like with her, she's brought a lot of SJW propaganda to the stir and a lot of PC stuff and censorship. Because I'm like, oh my god, this is like for reasons like this. This is I think why we need Keemstar around because it's just because I don't think it's right to censor this kind of stuff on YouTube. Because honestly, think even though you don't always like YouTubers like controversial people, they have a right to upload stuff and say what they say. Well, at least here, anyways, in the U.S. But I'm just like, it's just I hate how YouTube's gone to this much censorship, especially after the whole stuff was Carlos Maza.
Oh yeah, for sure, and not just him, but
Yeah. I'm just it's just I hate how much censorship it's fallen into for this. Like I said, I will as long as Susan still says CEO, YouTube will keep going like this.
yeah, for sure. And it's their loss. If
Yeah.
they really wanted to make more money, they should have competing viewpoints out there speaking on each other
Yeah.
instead of just trying to make it an echo chamber, which people they're gonna get tired of one day. Like they're gonna get tired of just hearing themselves when that's all that's left.
Yeah.
And we're heading in that direction.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Before I got off topic, was doing that. So I was originally going to mention. So there's this YouTuber, if you ever watched him, Computing Forever. He has a second channel called the Dave Cullen Show, which I both subscribe to. So he actually made a video saying he got a community guidelines strike on his second channel involving the British film industry gang PC, and he got a community guidelines strike for it. But there was nothing wrong with the video. It was it was right. He didn't curse or anything. He didn't say anything, that violated YouTube's terms or service. So when he's like said that, I'm just like, this is straight up censorship.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, it's happening. There are people have infiltrated mega corporations like Google, and
They've gone SJW and PC.
yeah, it's definitely been happening. And people who say that it's not, I think they're a little bit delusional. But we can just agree to disagree, and I'll keep on pointing out how it is.
Yeah,
and why it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's like I'm like that's what kind of thing is like with Sony because I've been a fan of PlayStation forever. I'm kind of mad they kind of gone down this drain. It was like, come on, PlayStation, I like you guys, but why'd you fall down this drain? Ugh, I thought you were better than this. This is why I still give props to Nintendo for not censoring stuff like this. Even though I think they have they have problems with themselves. One of the things I'll give them props for, they don't censor anything, and they're all anti-SJW stuff. Unlike Sony, it's like because I've been fans of them too, and I'm just like, come on, Sony, no.
Speaking of Sony, Sony owns Funimation
Yeah,
now.
it used to.
So,
Yeah. Well, when I was talking about Sony, I was mainly talking about PlayStation. So, but
oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's
Well,
what I want to clear.
don't they have like don't they have a lot of their stuff over in like California now or something like
Supposedly,
that?
supposedly, I haven't
Yeah,
really followed too much on that, but
I I don't know. Any move into the US I think is a bad move, and you'll keep on seeing more and
yeah,
more of that PC coming as they keep coming.
yeah, yeah. That's why I give. That's what I like about if I go to Japan, it's not the same because their culture is different from over here, which is like, which is what worries me is like if people come into the U.S. now, they'll probably get a little bit more influenced by PC and SJW propaganda. Excuse me, which is like unfortunate because I think that's happened to some Europeans that came into here, and like well, look what happened to Doctor Who and BBC, and look at what happened. Apparently, what happened to this guy who created Sword Art Online.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a culture shock where you're walking around and there's vending machines with undies and there's hentai shops everywhere. Like people, we're so super sensitive here.
Yeah,
They
it's like they've become so super sensitive nowadays. Because I remember it was like if this was like 4 or 5 years ago, it wouldn't be like that. Nowadays, it is. It's crazy how it's like it fell this much.
yeah, Twitter, the Twitter storm is for real. You know, when there's an opportunity to weigh in and deal some damage with a like or retweet, people are gonna show up every time.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
They're gonna show up almost every single time,
Yeah,
especially with the kickback thing.
yeah. Unfortunately, I was kind of even when I was kind of shocked to see some of the likes that some of the voice actors actually like from a lot of kick victors, especially like with Sean Schimmel. Oh, speaking of Sean, let me tell you something actually. So when I went to AwesomeCon back in late April, right? Sean Schimmel was actually one of the guests to appear there at AwesomeCon, right? But the funny thing is though, out of every guest that was there, he had the shortest line there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he only
Almost
had he only
unbelievable
had
because
what?
it's Goku. It almost seems unbelievable because he plays Goku. You know,
Yeah,
it's ingrained in pop culture. It's big enough.
yeah. It was like because he was right next to a couple other voice actors too. He was right next to Phil Lamar, Zach Callison, Tara Strong, Greg Sipes, and a bunch of other people like the the woman who voiced the Meg in the Hercules animation film back in the late '90s. She was there. She had a much bigger line than Sean.
Well,
I'm
she's
not
probably
kidding.
more attractive. Yeah, no, that's crazy. I wouldn't expect that because he was one of the few people I knew the names of. But that's funny.
Yeah. This is what happens when you call your fans assholes, Sean. I even said like when he tweeted that out, I was like, you know what? After seeing that, I want Peter Kalamis back as Goku. Hashtag not my Goku.
Yeah, I mean, he does a really good job of Goku, and it's hard to replace people that you have nostalgia for.
Yeah.
Like the first time you, at least for me, the first time I see an anime, that's kind of the way I like it best for the most part. There are exceptions, but I like kind of reliving those memories and being brought back.
Oh yeah, most
For
definitely.
that, like anybody else could play the role, you
Yeah.
know?
That's how I felt like when I look back onto a lot of the cartoons I watched when I was younger, like on Cartoon Network, because I'm still like a huge cartoon guy to this day. So that's why I'm a big fan of animation itself. So it's like that's why it's like I'm not a huge anime guy. Like I've only watched very few, but I'm not like too huge on anime. Like how Hirohei or Senpai is. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how into anime Senpai actually is.
Yeah. Well, I
So
can, but guessing by his name, I would assume at least he knows a little bit more than me. So
fair enough.
yeah,
I'll give you that. Touche.
yeah. Speaking of which, actually, he actually agreed to eventually come on one of the live streams too in the future because actually before you had to like reschedule and everything, I actually made a super chat on one of his live streams saying, hey, bro, BPM will be on my live stream tomorrow. So it's like I'd love to have you on sometime in the future." And he was like, sure, just message me to talk about it." I was like, "Okay, bet." So I can have him sometime in the future too. Like I said, because like I said, I'll be doing a series of this, so it'd be great to have him on as well.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and just going back to the channel thing, like, I don't know if your aim is to grow the channel, having content that goes out in a whole bunch of directions, it might be a little bit adverse to that, because if you're somebody getting notifications from YouTube, you want them to always be about something you care about. So if
Yeah,
people are subscribed to you, they typically want to see something like that specific type of content there. You know, you got your subscriber base. Those people obviously like what you do in general. They like your personality or something like that. And that's great. But for like in terms of just growing, you you kind of want to narrow your focus,
yeah,
you know, or at least like have a routine where you talk about this topic this day and that topic that day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That would be my only advice as somebody who came in and talked about one thing.
yeah.
Grew
Hey,
pretty fast.
any advice I can get works. So that's how. I mean, honestly, I'll take any advice I can get from this. So, because it's just I know the multi-content thing doesn't really work out too well, which is I think is also one of the big things, because mainly because as of lately, because I know I'm also gaming, but like I said, over the years I've also been a reaction channel too. So, but
Mhm.
that's like sometimes it will vary in how things work for me because it's just because about a few years because the reaction like community has grown a lot. So I've been just like left in the dark because I'm not like too active compared to other people like how you're not too active too. So
Yeah, that definitely hampers you in more ways than one. Like, it's not just people like asking like where's the videos. It definitely affects the algorithm. Like, I would take like a 2 week break and make a video, I get like 1/10 as many views as I'm almost positive it hampers you on the algorithm. So people don't even have the opportunity to click the video because they're not going to see it, and that's a big deal.
mhm.
But that would be my advice, and we can DM about it later. But I could
Yeah,
try and hook you up with a few people.
all right, that'd be nice.
So
Yeah,
yeah, man, maybe this be your thing.
yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I'm not sure if you saw this like last week or 2 weeks ago on Twitter. So I actually made Photoshop collage comic cover for Week Wars. If you ever saw that. So on that cover, I featured Vic and Ty. I also featured Yellow Flash, Tug, and Nick, Hero Hey, Supergirl, Senpai, and Unreal End Gaming. And I have it on Twitter too, so you can still check it out if you had the time. It's like that's actually became my most retweeted and liked tweet ever.
For sure, send that to me.
Yeah.
Send
So
that
by the way, shout out to Tug for retweeting that. Because his retweet is the reason why I got a lot of notoriety than it did.
Yeah, again, I can't say it enough. You know, Tug, he's one of those guys who he finds people who are unknown and he tries building them up. And a lot of the time you don't know what you're getting into, and the people that you build up, they may not like each other too much sometimes. But he's he's just awesome. So
Yeah,
thanks for sharing our stuff, Tug. We appreciate it.
yeah. By the way, speaking of which, I'll be doing a lot more comic collages in the coming up on Twitter soon. So just having the time to do it. So I just want to let you know you'll also be in one of those comic collages too because I'm trying to make it with a different bunch of I stand with Vic YouTubers and Twitter users and make them into a series like those were because I put those guys first because those are just the main I stand with Vic people, of course.
Mhm.
Having Vic on the top cover, just making it him the symbolic person for this whole thing, and then I'm gonna have in the next one. I'm trying to probably gonna have Super Saiyan Paul, Amish, and a few others as well. Also for maybe for Neverworld. Yeah, this is like it's gonna be a few to come. I might also do just a few Kick Vic cover too, just for the walls. But
Awesome, man. I'm excited to see Super Saiyan Paul illustrated because he's just kind of been off doing his own thing. He stopped talking about it for the longest time, and now he's talking about it again. But I liked his content when he was still doing it.
yeah, because the way I do those comic covers, basically, it's just I use Photoshop, so I just basically trace what other image I find of their concept art or what they look like, and then just try to put it accurate as I can without having anything outside their figure, and put it into this background that I put in this cool background that I try to put in as much as possible, and it's just like to make it work. It wasn't too hard, thankfully, for the first time. The hardest person to do was probably Yellow Flash because I had to get his put in the get the hairs accurate because those were a little bit of a pain to get in cropped properly without having to have anything else coming out of the background. So, and I also,
Looking forward to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also did plan on doing a while back a meme video about it too, was featuring using Power Rangers SPD clip, but I had to put that on pause because I switched computers. Not to mention I'm not the best edit for that kind of stuff. So because I tried using Sony Vegas for that, right? But I did do a different motion track every time I make a new motion for some of the images coming for the heads, just so it could follow the head. And it was such a pain. It wasn't too much of a pain, but it was a little bit complicated too because I had to make a new video track every time I tried to make a new motion that come out different from the angles. So I almost for the first I was only slightly halfway through, and I ended up making almost 40 different video tracks on Sony Vegas for just doing that. So I was like, oof, it was difficult. So I was like, but I do have something else planned coming up. So hopefully it'll be less pain in the ass, but still doing it like those doing the motion head images isn't that easy for me because I don't know how to do it properly. Because I use Sony Vegas for my editing, so it's not that great for because I'm an amateur when it comes to editing, so it's not the best option.
Yeah, I actually use it too. I've got Vegas 15 now.
Yeah, I got Vegas, I think 16.
That's the current one.
Yeah, I got the current one. Yeah.
So, good deal. We could talk about that too.
Yeah. And what else? There's something else I had in my mind that I probably forgot. Oh yeah, once this is all said and done too, I had the idea. I'm gonna share this sometime on the streams too later. When I do it with other stand-up YouTubers, of making a comic book script out of it, of this whole ordeal.
Yeah. I mean, why not? There's a manga thing. I'm always a fan of bringing mirth, to kind of darker, more serious topics to lighten the mood. And I mean, I don't like having fun with other people's pain, but I do like trying to lighten the mood and to make something positive come out of a bad situation.
Yeah. I know how you feel. So that's why I'm thinking it was because I'm a huge creative imaginary guy, right? So that's why I was like, I want to do this stuff now, but I just want to wait for all this stuff to be over. So I pictured this whole Vic thing and just try to make a story out of it and make it similar, excuse me, to Avengers Endgame. So making the Avengers team, of course, where you have Nick, Yellow Flash, Tug, Hero Hey, and Supergirl, of course. But not to mention, it's I'm gonna insert a few others coming in too. You're gonna be in it. But I'm gonna insert myself in it too because why would I not insert myself in it as writing this? But I'm gonna make myself the Ant-Man guy of the group where no one knows who this guy is.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, because I also thought of eventually doing the Endgame meme videos. Where have you seen Endgame?
I haven't seen the last two actually.
Okay, man, Avo, man, you should.
I know I'm a weirdie like that. Just too busy watching Broly on repeat.
Yeah. Because a funny thing is, if you didn't know either, it actually broke Avatar's box office record.
Which did?
Avengers Endgame.
Oh, I'm sure. That was the most anticipated movies for most people, anyways.
Yeah. No,
Apparently not for me, but yeah, most anticipated movies ever.
yeah. A lot of people thought they wouldn't surpass Avatar, but it eventually did. I kept giving it hope that it's like I pray that it passes Avatar because it's like since I'm a huge Marvel fan, I'm just like I wanted to see and because dethroned Avatar because it's been like on the most box office record for like 10 years. So I'm just like, and Endgame was like came close. It was like we want and me and like and we and the other Marvel fans were rallying to try to dethrone Endgame so badly. So I was like,
Yeah, I didn't see Captain Marvel or whatever that was either.
oh yeah, I don't blame you. Honestly, I rated one of the worst MCU movies I've ever seen.
I believe it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Brie Larson. You're probably on your way and trying to ruin the MCU. That's why Tom Holland's the new face, not you.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of a weirdy. Like one of my favorite Marvel movies ever was just the first Spider-Man.
Actually, no, that's actually a good choice, honestly.
I just love the soundtrack, love the feel of the movie.
And this is coming from me too, because I'm also a huge Spider-Man fan. So, because I actually platinumed Spider-Man on the PS4. So,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. But before we end it and everything else, so the thing I wanted to, like I said, the whole Endgame thing. So, if you don't know, so there's the scene where everyone assembles finally. And I was thinking of also making that eventually a meme video too, including all of us, including everyone. That's I stand was Vic, and of course Thanos is gonna be Mars Girl. Yeah, just because.
Relevant. Oh no.
Yeah, because I'm gonna. Man, yeah. Like I said, I have a tendency of having a hard time explaining things, but in this case, that's why I'm gonna bring in because in the scene, like everyone's gonna all the people who came back basically appear up to help in this final fight. And so I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna put faces of almost every I stand with Vic person I know into that, and then
That'd be awesome.
and then put myself in there because I'm gonna put myself as Ant-Man because I've Endgame is like if I were trying. I don't know why, because it came in my head. It's just trying to make the Vic story similar to where the Stan guys are trying to be like the Avengers and help Vic out, but
Mhm.
Goku was the similar plans to help Vic, where like the Avengers try to help bring back everyone, but except it was out the time travel. So that's why I'm imagining myself teaming up with Nick and Yellow Flash, and I'm just and sometimes I end up pissing off Yellow Flash. Just like, why did he come along with us? just because, if, just because it's like that. Yellow Flash is like he's probably like one of the more I'd say it's like I have nothing against him. I'm just like say he's like one of the more douchey guys. Is like, why did he have to come along with us? Yeah. It's like I said, I have the tendency to not explain things well, so it's just like that's how I'm just trying to best describe it in this sort of scenario.
Yeah, no, I think that would be pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know it's crazy, Dio. So because we have a lot we had a lot to talk about. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dang, it sounds like you've got a lot to work on just from the images alone.
Yeah,
Not to mention,
the Photoshop stuff isn't that bad, but doing the video memes is like a lot of work.
trust me, I know.
Yeah, even like doing simple video editing stuff, like trying for like gameplay and stuff, that takes up a lot. That does take up some work too. Even especially doing reactions sometimes, because like for me, it's like I don't have the best setup, so I end up having to place the footage of it right as the audio plays, just so it can sync in properly. So.
Oh yeah, I for the longest time I was using Vegas 9, so anytime I would drag a clip, like a movie clip, into it, it would desync the audio from the video, and I'd have to do this whole game of resyncing it for every single clip, and it was awful. But yeah, I upgraded to 15, and life's been a lot better. But
Mm.
I definitely get the editing angst as well as the enjoyment.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know. Because once you actually finish it, it's you just get that satisfactory out of it.
yeah, for sure. Definitely tag me when you make those. I'll be looking forward to them.
Oh, most definitely, no problem. I'll definitely tag you when I get the chance. Because because it's not gonna be anytime soon because tomorrow I'm actually going to Otakon in DC. So
Right on.
yeah, because I've actually thankfully it's like last year I just started getting to going to cons. So but for this stuff, it's like I'm hoping for the Vic stuff. I'm just like, maybe I should attend an anime con sometime because I mainly attended Comic Cons at first, but
Hmm.
Otakon is gonna be like my first anime con to go to. So
Yeah, man. Hopefully you have a blast.
yeah. One of the main reasons I actually want to go there too is just so I can meet a few voice actors like Carrie Walgreen and uh, J- E- Erica Harlacher because I actually wanted to meet one of the Persona 5 voice actors for the longest time after just playing it for like since May.
That makes sense.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I think oh man, we've actually been talking for about almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, I mean, just to sum it up, you
Yeah,
know, this Me Too stuff, maybe it started at a good place.
but then it just went
It's
horribly
being
bad.
exploited. People are exploiting it. They're exploiting against Vic, and
Actually,
there needs to be checks and balances to power. For things to be fair, and you shouldn't be able to destroy somebody's life just by leveling an accusation with no risk.
yeah, that's why I think like this case is also so important because it highlights the major problem with Me Too.
I agree. So
Yeah,
keep on
that,
fighting. You know.
that's what even Nick said. It's like, yeah, even at this point, I'm getting tired of this Me Too garbage. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
sorry, but that's how I just feel after a whole guilty until proven innocent notion started.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, a lot of us didn't know Vic. We'd encountered parts of his work before. Other people still hadn't encountered anything that Vic had worked on. And it's just the idea that you can destroy somebody's life with no justification while everybody pretends like you're justified. That that kind of thing needs to be addressed.
Yeah, most definitely. So,
Um,
but if this does turn out for the best, I hope it like if Vic wins, I hope like it will take another direction to make things better again. That's that's all I can hope for right now.
if he wins, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal.
It's it'll be something people can refer to. It'll be the first time this kind of thing has happened. So, you know, keeping my fingers crossed,
Yeah.
watching it, but whatever the case, people have been doing a great job. They've gotten him to conventions when he was basically going to none.
Hmm.
And, hopefully it all works out in the end. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on. It's been a
Yeah.
blast.
Yeah,
Almost.
it's been an honor having you on as well. So I'm very glad you had a chance to answer my message and agree to come on. So yeah,
And
I
I'll
was
have to keep on keeping that line of communication open.
yeah, I'm still kind of pissed at Flash how he had to push his stream an hour back too. I was like, God damn it!
Any number of things can happen.
I didn't think it'd be so last minute too because I had just got off work to find out he pushed it like back to 10 o'clock. I'm just like, damn it! This conflicts with ours, but I am planning to keep the stream up anyway since it's just us just going over our viewpoints and just I'm basically interviewing you. So
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Like I said, like any number of things could happen. Maybe a guest was running late. Maybe someone ran into traffic. But these things, they're rarely planned
Yeah.
perfectly. It's hard to plan it around people.
Oh yeah, most definitely. for us, it was kind of a little bit hard to plan because I originally had you coming on a few days earlier, but things happen. I was like, okay, I'll try to reschedule for you to make things work out better, so we could still somehow do the live stream together. So
Appreciate that, man. And yeah, thanks again. Thanks for you guys for watching. Be
yeah,
sure to subscribe to this guy if you haven't.
yeah. The next guests I try to plan to have on is like Senpai is home. We agreed, like I said, he agreed he'd come on sometime in the future. And the next person I want to try to get him on, and the next other guy I want to try to get on is Come Geek Some because I really want to see what he says. I haven't followed him too much, but I really want to have him on just because he's also an I Stand with Vic YouTuber. So see what.
Awesome, man. Well, best of luck in all of your future endeavors, and
same to you.
I'll catch you in your next video.
Yeah. For those who are watching, thanks for watching. Until next time, I haven't done this intro. I do this intro a lot, but until next time, be sure to check out Burley on his channel too. He hasn't been on a lot, but still check him out, subscribe because he's actually really good. He destroys everything with facts. So, anyways, like I said for the 5th time already, thanks for watching, and until next time, and see you. Thank you for being on, Burley's. I'll see you later. But until next time, 224 Vic is out. See y'all
next time on Dragon Ball Z. Later, guys.
Later.